Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today I'm going to be finally revealing my team for FPL 2021-22. I'm revealing my Game Week 1 team that I've got for you right now. I've had lots of thoughts about this team. I'm fully engrossed in the fantasy content right now, and I've come up with a team that's actually quite different to teams you've probably seen from other content creators, and I think you're going to like it. I've gone in a slightly different direction, I think. We've still got some of the more obvious picks, but we've gone in some different directions, and I think this is really going to work. I really think this is a really strong team, and I'm hoping that you guys are going to like it too. So if you do like this video, if you do find it helpful, if you do like my team, please do like the video. Massively appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. And of course, do subscribe if you are new around here, because we're going to try and get 100,000 subscribers at some point this year. We're going to do it, guys, but I can only do it with your help. Please do help me out there indeed. But before I reveal my team, a quick word from my sponsor today. And my sponsor today is, of course, Fantasy Football Hub. One of, if not the favourite fantasy football tools that I use. I'm absolutely obsessed with Fantasy Football Hub. I work very closely with them because I just like what they have so much. I constantly have tabs open on my computer from Fantasy Football Hub because they have so many useful tools that helps me make these videos. All of the stats that I gather for these videos are generated from the Opta stats tool that Fantasy Football Hub offer. You can see all kinds of things like expected goals, goals, assists, shots in the box, or you can look at all of these stats, expected clean sheets, saves made, everything. You look at the best defenses, the worst defenses. There's so much available, and there's so many different tools and stuff that I think you guys will find so useful. I recommend it so much if you're serious about your fantasy football. And guys, you can get 25% off your subscription if you use the link in my description. So guys, if you are serious about your fantasy, you need to have a tool like this. I mean, I can only help you so much, but these tools are so useful to have. So check it out. Links in the description. I'm obsessed. I know you guys are going to be obsessed with it as well because it's just the best. You can tell I'm quite passionate about this one, can't you? So yeah, check the link in the description for 25% off. That's pretty much it. Let's have a look at my team. So, 100 million budget. I've only spent 99.5 of it. I like to keep a cheeky 0.5 million in the bank just in case I want to make some interesting moves in the second week and I find myself 0.5 short. We don't want that, do we, guys? But I do want to say before we start that this team does not include Bruno Fernandes, and if that offends you, and I'm sure it will offend a few of you, then then maybe now is the time to turn off. But I want to show you what you can do in a team without including Bruno Fernandes, without going for, you know, two premium midfielders or two super premium midfielders anyway, and how you can spread the money and create a really good team, and how actually maybe it's not such a bad idea to do that. It's actually an option. It's actually something you can do. I'm going to explain all of that in a brief while, but we'll start off in goal with Meslier. Maybe a few of you surprised that I've not gone for a 4.5 million goalkeeper. I usually do go for a 4.5 million goalkeeper, but when we look at last year, there was kind of 3 goalkeepers in the top 20 scoring players. So goalkeepers more and more recently over the last couple of seasons have become a little bit more important. Now, I'm not saying spend all your money on a big goalkeeper. That rarely works. A goalkeeper for Man City, for Liverpool, you know, teams like that, although they will often keep clean sheets, they will not make many saves because the defense in front of them is so good. They won't actually get any bonus points because they're not really involved too much in the game, so they're not getting bonus points. So although they do get their 6 points very often, you know, sometimes we need to shoot for a little bit more, and that's what players like Martinez last season, Nick Pope the season before, that's what they've done. They're a team kind of just below those top teams, who is a team that will concede shots. They won't score a mad amount of goals, so a goalkeeper is a very important player who will make saves and get bonus points as well as those clean sheets, and this is what we're after. And I think Meslier represents that perfectly in this Leeds team, who I think are going to keep more clean sheets this season. At the end of last season, we saw them keeping more and more clean sheets, didn't we? And that was with all of their injury problems they had in defence last year. Now they're buying more defenders for their squad. Meslier is literally was one of the best goalkeepers in the entire league. He made loads of saves. He was picking up bonus points. He was one of the highest scoring goalkeepers, or the third highest scoring goalkeeper, I think, by the end of the season, which was absolutely incredible. And you can pick him up for 5 million, which I know isn't 4.5 million, but just by spending that extra 0.5, which really isn't much at all when you've got a player that we really can be that confident in, I think he is going to have another fantastic season that we can really look forward to. So into defence here, and we've got Alexander-Arnold to start you off. I think you kind of probably saw this one coming. He's pretty much in everyone's team right now, and for good reason. Liverpool have fantastic opening fixtures. Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the most creative players in the entire league, if not the most creative player in the entire league, especially if we look at the stats from the end of last season, or the second half of last season at least. Alexander-Arnold was the most creative player kind of in the league. He really was looking fantastic. He's going to be part of a Liverpool defence that is improving. We've got Konate coming in, we've got Gomez coming back, we've got Van Dijk coming back. They're going to be at full strength once again, and they're going to look really good, really strong. They're going to have their midfield back as well, Henderson coming back to the team. So many things are going to come back into place for Liverpool, and they're going to be a real strong defence once again. And once they've got that strong defence, and you add to that this incredible creativity that Alexander-Arnold offers, along with his set pieces, his free kick taking, his shooting, regularly takes a shot as well, which is really nice, and that's outside of the set pieces. So yeah, absolutely fantastic option, well worth the money. You spend that money for a very good reason. He's going to be one of the top scoring players in the entire league this year. He's an excellent set and forget option, and he starts off with a game against Norwich, so what more can you want, really? Absolutely fantastic. Really excited to see what he produces this season again, really. We move on to Diaz. Not a lot of people are actually going for those Man City defenders, but I think that's going to be a bit of a mistake. I think a lot of people are kind of skipping on the defence a little bit here, and I think I'm going to kind of show you what my team and what I'm doing with my team, and I'm kind of interested in the defence. And we saw in the Euros how important a good defence can be. We've kind of seen in the last couple of seasons in FPL as well how important a strong defence can be, and how the defenders can pick you up so many points. And although they're not necessarily captain options, they are so important to create the baseline of your team. And it's certainly in the beginning of the season, where we do have these really low budgets, we haven't quite increased our club value very much. The best value players are always defenders. They're always the best value for money. And whilst we don't have a lot of money, a lot of cash to splash, we kind of do need to prioritise those defenders a little bit. And that's genuinely an option that a lot of people have gone for. It's kind of been modelled in the past that some of the most successful early teams in the Fantasy Premier League do spend that extra little bit on their defence. And that's what we're going for with Diaz here. So Diaz, he is just a set and forget. He's going to get a clean sheet, probably not necessarily every other game, but maybe 2 out of 3 games, somewhere in, I don't know, maybe 60% of games, Diaz is going to get you a nice 6 points clean sheets, potentially bonus points if the score is low, potentially the odd goal from a header or something like that. I know I do prefer my fullbacks a little bit, but I'm going to make an exception for Diaz because he is so set and forgets. He's so nailed on for this incredible defence that is Man City. I'm just really looking forward to just having that player that I can just stick in my team and not worry about for the rest of the season. He just stays. He's just in there. That's it. There we go. So we'll move on to Luke Shaw, who obviously has just been incredible. He's had an incredible year for Manchester United. He had incredible Euros, scoring in the Euros final, for God's sake. That's just, yeah. He's going to be on top of his game, and we really do love the Manchester United fixtures at the beginning of the season. They're fabulous. They really are. They have a great run of fixtures. They really do. So Luke Shaw is definitely a player that we want to keep a very, very close to our fantasy teams. I don't really see myself going without Luke Shaw full stop in my team. I think he's one of those must-have players along with Alexander-Arnold in defence. So he is going to be a must-have and must-had by my team. So he's in there. He's in there for sure. We've got Lamptey in there as well, who I think is arguably a must-have as well. So I'd say the defence template of Alexander-Arnold, Shaw and Lamptey is pretty much right. I think I know it's template, I know it's kind of boring, but it's kind of there for a reason. I've added Diaz to it as a little bit of a, not necessarily differential, but just to add a little bit of spice to it, I guess. But these are the defenders that we really do want to have in our team. So we've got Lamptey here. He is not going to be playing every single game for me because obviously I do have some good players on the bench that I can swap if I only want to go for a 3-man defence some weeks. If I want to rotate the defence a little bit, I can do that. So Lamptey's not going to be playing every single game for me, but we do know that Brighton do have this incredible run of opening fixtures. That's why so many people have gone for Sanchez. The thing is with Sanchez in goal though is that he doesn't really make any saves, so he doesn't get any bonus points really either. So it's kind of like, yes, you're 4.5 million for a goalkeeper, but what are you really offering me over and above over and above that. And Lamptey just offers so much over and above his 4.5 million price tag. So he's getting those clean sheets, and he's also getting that the incredible attacking threat that he's got. I spoke about him a couple of days ago in a video that he is in the same mould as Spinazzola, Dumfries, Mela in the Euros, whereby he is just so far up in the other team's box. He's taking touches in the box, taking shots in the box, making crosses in the box. He's just so far up the pitch, and that's kind of what we want. So those are my defenders. Let's move on to some midfielders. We're going to start you off with Mohamed Salah. Salah is my premium midfielder. I told you there's no Bruno, but I think that's okay. I think that's okay because we have got Salah, and I think Salah is another one of those essential players that you have to have. I know it's boring to pick Salah in your team when everyone else has him, but if you don't have him, you're going to regret him. If you take Salah out your team, you're just signing your own death wish. It's really not good to go without him. And this opening fixture against Norwich, he could easily bag 2 goals and an assist, maybe even a hat trick in this opening fixture. So he is going to be so crucial to have a fantastic captain option for pretty much something like, I can't remember exactly, but something like 7 out of the first 10 game weeks, maybe 6 out of the first 10 game weeks or 9 game weeks, something like that. You can pretty much captain him every single game week. You can even captain him in the difficult games if you really want to, but he's a captain option, and he's got so many good fixtures early on that you can just keep captaining him and captaining him and captaining him, which is one of the reasons why I think it's actually to go without Bruno Fernandes is actually okay to do. Because if you're never going to really captain Bruno anyway, and Bruno's captainable fixtures don't really rotate with Liverpool's captainable fixtures that well anyway. If you're not going to captain Bruno, then are you really going to spend 12 million on him? It's a lot of money. It really is a lot of money. And considering what you can do if you spread that money out, you can get so many good players in your team. You can create so much cover in your team that it really is quite magical what you can do by just sacrificing one of those premium players. And if you change your mind later, you can always sacrifice other players in your team. It's only going to cost you 2 transfers to get Bruno back into your team. Obviously, everyone's going to have him. A lot of people are going to have Bruno, but is it that important to have him? We kind of saw him drop off towards the end of last season. We saw that he had, like an incredibly long, tough season. Then going to the Euros, and if Manchester United aren't able to get as many penalties, I know people don't. A lot of Manchester United fans don't like people saying it, but a lot of Bruno Fernandes' goal contributions do come from penalties. It was something like over half of his goals for Manchester United have been from the spot. So we are depending on penalties. If you think Manchester United are going to get a load of penalties again this season, then absolutely fair play. But I do like to think that perhaps last season was a strangely large amount of penalties for a team to have. I can't see that happening every single year. Maybe it happens again, maybe it doesn't. But I'm okay to bet against that. But we'll move on anyway. We're not going to talk about Bruno too much because he's not even in this team. But we've got Kai Havertz here, who is kind of potentially going to be playing as a striker if Chelsea don't sign another striker, and it's looking ever more likely that Chelsea are not going to be signing Haaland. So if they don't sign Haaland, that's going to mean Havertz is going to be one of the main strikers in this team. And since he's listed as a midfielder and playing as a striker, that could be really interesting. Now, he played really well for Chelsea when he did play. He was favoured in the Champions League, which means he is probably a first-choice player. I know he was rotated slightly. I do think he's going to be one of those first-choice players. He's improving constantly. He is adapting to the Premier League constantly. He had a really good Euros tournament, one of those star players for Germany. I know Germany didn't go as far into the competition as perhaps we'd hoped that they would, but Havertz was one of the stars of that team, if not the star of that team, as we kind of expected. And the star of the Champions League last season as well, of course. How can we forget that one? So, incredible player, potentially playing out of position. Could be really good. Could be Chelsea's star attacker for this season. You would really not doubt that he will be Chelsea's star attacker for this season, would you really? And we're going to finish off with Greenwood. So Greenwood does provide some of that attacking cover for Manchester United. So if you're going without Bruno, you do want to make sure you do have some kind of Manchester United attacker in your team, I think. Let's not be ridiculous. We're not talking about neglecting Manchester United's attack completely. That would just be foolish. So we will go for Greenwood. Greenwood did outperform Bruno at the end of last season for his fantasy outputs, and his performances on the pitch were arguably on par, if not better than Bruno's as well in certain games at the end of last season. Greenwood is just he's really fantastic. He really is. Potentially playing as a striker. We've got Rashford, who's going to be out with a shoulder injury for the first 3 months of the season. So Greenwood is going to have those more opportunities to feature in that team. Is he going to play on left wing? Is he going to play on right wing? Is he going to play a striker? He does have that versatility where he could feasibly play in each of those positions, which is really quite nice, and does give him more opportunities to play for this Manchester United team. And given his form at the end of last season, I don't feel like he's going to be dropped too quickly, even if Manchester United are buying these kind of star wingers in like Sancho, for example. Greenwood is still going to play a part in this team. He really will. And especially, when the fixtures get a little bit congested, Cavani's not going to be able to play every single game. Sancho's probably going to be eased into the team. Martial, who knows what's going on there. And Rashford isn't available. Pogba has got to play in the central midfield. I think the experiment of Pogba playing at left wing, that experiment's got to be over by now, surely. So Greenwood does stick out to me as someone who has the potential to do really well as a fantasy asset. And he is that really nice cheap price tag as well, which is kind of, that's why he's cheaper, because he does carry that potential rotation risk. But we have got a strong bench, which we'll talk about in a minute. But anyway, moving up front, we'll start you off with Calvert-Lewin, because why not? Calvert-Lewin is another one of those very, very popular picks. Everton have this fairly good opening fixtures that they've got in this first part of the season. Calvert-Lewin is pretty much the only player in their team who is capable of scoring goals. Everton kind of keep those scores low, don't they? But they've got a new manager, so let's see how this happens. But I do still see Calvert-Lewin being that main man, the point of the arrow. Everything goes towards Calvert-Lewin. Those crosses, him running in behind and stuff like that. So he's going to be a really super important player, as he always is for Everton, and hopefully he's going to continue to thrive after a couple of really good seasons, really picking up those points. And we can only remember the start of last season, how incredibly he performed at the start of last season. Let's not make that mistake again by excluding him. Let's give him a go in these really nice fixtures. Everything coming towards him. Hopefully Everton are going to look really good under Benitez and sign a couple of players perhaps. And Calvert-Lewin will remain that arrowhead in that Everton team. We've got Ollie Watkins there. First game against Watford, which is playing against some newly promoted teams in the first couple of games. We really do like that. Ollie Watkins was just points after points after points, whether it's scoring goals, whether it's assisting, stuff like that. He was a points magnet. He just kept getting points. Maybe not so many bonus points, but he got so many points last season. Buendia is going to add to the creativity of Aston Villa, which is going to only make Watkins better, give him more opportunities to score. So that's going to be really nice. An excellent pick. And we've got Iheanacho there as well, who was just the player really of towards the end of the season, maybe the second half of the season. You could arguably say he was just the best player in the league. He was incredible, wasn't he? Right until the end of the season. So I don't see why not. He can't continue that early into this season. He's going to be hopefully just incredible again, and I'm not gonna. The amount I hyped him up last season and begged all of you guys to buy Iheanacho because he's going to explode, and then he did explode, and he continued to explode, and continued, and everything he touched turned to gold. It's going to happen again, guys. It's going to happen again. So Nacho is in the team. We do love Kelechi, and he is definitely one of those strikers for me in this 4-3-3 formation. Now, let's have a look at the bench now, guys. We've got Foster in goal. He's just a 4 million goalkeeper. I don't like rotating goalkeepers, really. That's not my thing. For me, I find that it very rarely actually works. It's very rarely actually beneficial to have a rotating goalkeeper. So I'm going to stick a 4 million goalkeeper on the bench and never touch him. Foster at least has a chance of playing out those 4 million goalkeepers. Foster at least has a chance of playing, unlike the other ones. We've got Rafinha here, who I think everyone knows by now is a fantastic fantasy pick. I've spoken about him a little bit before already, so he's going to be a really good pick. Don't really like the first fixture against Manchester United, but after that, let's see what happens. We've got Ait-Nouri, who I spoke about in a video yesterday, who is just an incredibly, insanely attacking left back who's going to spend half of the game in the opposition's box. So if Wolves can get back to their best under their new manager, Lager, then Ait-Nouri is going to be a fantastic pick at left wing back. The first couple of fixtures aren't great for Wolves, but after that, I'm going to save myself a transfer in the future by having Ait-Nouri ready to go on the bench. And finally, Bissouma. Now, these players on the bench, you can see I've got two fairly strong players on the bench there, Rafinha and Ait-Nouri. really, really strong players on the bench there for very good reason. And I've kind of really, what I've done is I've picked two, when we have our fourth and fifth defenders, usually you might go for your fifth defender as a super cheap 4 million defender or something like that. I've spent 4.5 million on both my fourth and my fifth defender to make sure I do have adequate cover on my bench. And the best way to provide adequate cover for yourself is by picking some regular playing super, good value for money defenders. And that's exactly what I've done here, really. So with all the injury problems I had last year, with all of the players I wish I had in my team, I didn't have a strong enough bench last year. I'm learning from that, and this year I'm going to do better. At the end of last season, I went with a much stronger bench in the end, and it really benefited me because I could rotate a little bit more depending on fixtures. I had cover for when there was injuries, I had cover for when there was suspensions, I had cover for when players just went off form. Having a player in reserve, it essentially saves you a transfer. And I never would recommend spending loads of money on your defense, but just by spending that extra 0.5 million it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. So don't scrimp too much, guys. If you're taking out a player like Bruno Fernandes, you can afford to spread the value in your team a little bit more. And I've still gone for an absolute cheapest possible goalkeeper and an absolute cheapest possible fifth midfielder there in Bissouma. So those are base layer prices. But for my other players, they have at least a little bit of value in there. So I do have some cover in my team. And I think that's definitely something that I want to do and want to improve upon from last season as we go into the start of this season. I think it's going to work well. Captains, let's not beat around the bush. Salah's captain. We all know that. He's just the most obvious captain for the first day. And I guess we'll give vice captain to Kai Havertz, because why not? Opening game against Crystal Palace could be pretty good, but I'm definitely not going to deviate from Salah. I think that would be it would be FPL suicide, wouldn't it, to go without Salah captain in the first day. But there we go, guys. That is my team. There we go, guys. Let me know what you think of this one. You can tell me that it's crazy to go out without Bruno all you like, but I have thought about this one. This is not, a spur of the moment decision. I just try kind of experiment, and we've got 1 month until I have to submit my final team. This is one of many experiments that I'll be doing, but right now, I love this team. I absolutely love this team so much, and I think it could be not just really high scoring, but also a little bit different from what certain other people are going for, and I think that could, put me in really good stead for a very strong start to the season. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like. It really does help me out so much. Please do subscribe as well if you're new around here, and we'll do loads and loads of FPL videos. We're going to do pretty much a Fantasy Premier League video every single day running up to the new season. Not every single day, but pretty much every single day. Trust me on that, guys. I've got so much planned. Definitely some stuff to be excited about in the near future, that's for sure. Of course, guys, please do check out Fantasy Football Hub. Like I said, I'm obsessed with it. I hope you're going to be obsessed with it too, and you can get 25% off by using the link in my description. So go have a look. Tell me what you think of it, guys. Of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do at FPL Mate. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's the same at. If you want to join my mini league, the link is in the description. And I've spoken quite enough by now, so I suppose I'll leave it on there. I'll say thank you for watching, and I'll say see you later, mates. Bye-bye.